Spoilers for the My Hero Academia manga. The current state of the My Hero Academia world is, in one word, boned. Society has crumbled, villains are everywhere, heroes are quitting left and right, and there's basically no hope left. The only thing people can cling to is the urban myth of a weird tentacled hero that goes around and saves people, soaked in blood, scars, and filth. This is the world within which My Hero Academia's villain hunt arc happens, which is the current arc the manga is in, which has Deku turn essentially into a vigilante, running around trying to save as many people as possible while trying to master One for All as quickly as possible and becoming ready to finally face All for One. It's an arc straight out of everyone's fanfiction. Deku is raw now, he has a cool costume, everyone is scared of him, he's super cool and strong, and also, oh no, it is super self-destructive. Oops. Indeed, if I had to sum up the Villain Hunt arc by its most basic point, it's that it is about all the small hints about Deku's terrible mindset finally coming to a breaking point. Throughout the entire story, we hear that Deku is self-sacrificial to a fault. We hear the other One for All users calling him possessed by the desire to save. And while that is normally portrayed as a good thing, once you take it by itself, always putting others before yourself in every single situation, regardless of context, is not a sustainable mindset. And Deku's situation is made worse by the fact that he is mentored by the worst person possible for this, All Might, who is the exact same. He literally starts the series by saying, heroism is self-sacrifice. So while his assault on All for One's assassins is initially shown to be something cool and good, it slowly but surely transitioned into showing that this is self-destructive. Deku is ruining himself. He is tired, he is hurt, and he is completely alone. He's isolating himself, and he's further and further falling into a pit of self-deprecative despair. He is, in a lot of ways, committing the exact same mistake every single One for All user had done before him. All Might, Nana, they all did the same thing, pushing away the people that cared about them in order to carry this burden all by themselves. And all of them failed one way or another. Nana died, All Might got crippled, and now it was Deku's turn. But just as he's about to collapse, Class A appears, ready to bring him back from the darkness. And this is the point where people really started going ham, trying to figure out who was going to be the one that will bring Deku back. Is it going to be Uraraka, who is going to swoop in with her love confession and make Deku realize that he has other people in his life worth caring about? Or will it be Bakugo, who will come swooping in with his apology for all the bullying, which will remind Deku that he has people in his life worth caring about? Well, it was neither. It was Iida. And it's the coolest shit ever. Iida is one of the most tragic My Hero Academia characters, not because of anything in his story, but because he's criminally underused. And when it comes to the ranking of did they need a moment, Iida definitely comes out on top out of these three, although Uraraka ranks in as a close second. So already from a standpoint of which character do you give the shine to, this is a great move. But more importantly, I think it's brilliant how this intersects with the narrative that Iida has so far had with Deku. To Iida, Deku was the one that pulled him out of his lone mission to avenge his brother, a solo op that he thought only he could do because he felt he had to bear this burden. He felt the responsibility to cut everyone else off and just push forward despite how much it was hurting him and despite how destructive it was to him and his own career. Sound familiar? Deku now is doing the exact same. He has pretty much forgotten the lesson that he imparted onto Iida, that heroism is not something that you can consistently do alone. Heroism intersects with altruism, and because of that, it will always have to at least somewhat interact with social community, with collaborative effort. And the scene of the Class A fight against Deku embodies that perfectly. A big part as to why Deku feels that he has to do it alone is power scaling. He realizes that because of his 6 quirks and his mastery of One for All, and the daunting power of Shigaraki that he has now seen for himself in the war, He believes that no one but him and the top heroes can really stand up to this threat. And because he has One for All and is therefore the only one that could be resistant to having his quirks stolen, he himself is even more of a special position. So he cuts himself off from everyone because he doesn't want to endanger people that simply aren't ready for this fight. And Class A shows up and shows him why that is bullshit. They may individually not have the power to withstand him, as it's shown when he manages to get away from every single one of them one at a time. But when they combine forces, when they plan ahead, and when they unify their desire to save him, they come up with a plan that stumps him and catches up to him. Todoroki's Ice Slide, Momo's Rails, Mina's Acid Man, Todoroki's Flash Freeze Heat Wave, Bakugo's Explosions, Uraraka's Zero Gravity, and Iida's Turbo. All of them, combined with everything that's happened before, Dark Shadow grabbing and pushing Deku, Minetta's Anal Beads, all of them come together and make Iida surpass Deku, catching up to him while Deku is using faux 100%. And once they reunite in the sky, in the 7th anniversary chapter of the series, Iida repeats to Deku the words Deku told him in the 1st anniversary chapter of the series. Meddling when you're not asked to is the essence of being a hero. In the stormy sky among the clouds, Iida pushes Deku back into heroism because he reminds him that when you are together, when you have your friends to back you up, when you have your community to help you, you can achieve greater things than you could ever while you're alone. And while this kinda does lean into Nakama energy, it does have an interesting twist to it. A big part of My Hero Academia is that Deku is different from those that came before him, because those that came before him were classical hero and villain figures, All for One and All Might, who did everything by themselves. All for One was the sole emperor of his dark kingdom, while All Might was the sole beacon of hope in a dark world. Deku is supposed to be the one that unifies powers not through force, not through omnipotence, not through monolithic status, but through heroism. Through building a heroic community, through lifting people up alongside him and not pushing them away because they can't keep up. And Iida, the character that once upon a time went on a solo vengeance mission, comes back to remind him of that. And I think that is such a beautiful and strong way of tying this all back together. Class 1A as a cast of characters is notoriously contested, but as I've said for literal years, they are not characters by themselves. They are a tool for the world building to characterize itself through. They are an element of the world. They're not 20 people. They are a community. And that is why this encounter and why this story matters. Hey, as always, thank you for watching, and a big thank you to all my patrons, including Daniel Garcia, Fictionape, Jameson Tate, Cini, Victor Perez, Cesar Londono, Trader, Ignis, Mr. Meander, and Paracha. Thank you all, I really appreciate all the help and support you give me, and I love making this stuff for you. I hope you keep watching, I hope you subscribe, I hope you like, and I'll see you around. Bye bye, take care.